Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel to a brand new video, and today's video is going to be tips for people who are just starting recovery from anorexia. And these tips are just tips that I feel like everyone should know and everyone needs to know, and I hope that helps you. So I haven't been around and posting videos that often, and it's mainly because quarantine has really took it out of me, to be fair. I really am lacking motivation to do things, and videos are just like one of my least priorities to do. I'm still responding to DMs on Instagram and I'm still doing my recovery coaching things, but for now that's taken up all of my time, so I haven't had any free time, and this week is the first time I've had like free time to actually do videos like this. So I hope this video helps you, and if it has, please go ahead and leave a comment. If you have a comment and if you need any advice or anything, then please comment down below and I will try my best to respond to it. So yes, let's go ahead and get straight into it. So the first tip that I would have for anyone who's in recovery is that this isn't forever. That the amount of food you're eating and, you know, the pain, how uncomfortable you're feeling, the thoughts, the guilt, that's not going to be forever. That's only going to be when you're in recovery, because there is a life after recovery. There is freedom. There is, you know, no longer feeling guilty of eating food. You're able to go out places. You don't feel guilt. That's all to come. Right now though, this is your life and you need to try your hardest to fight those thoughts, to live with those thoughts, and remember that this isn't going to last forever. Combat them by using distractions, by doing whatever you find is helpful for you. Like for me, I listen to music, I loved playing games or like Sims and things. Anything to take your mind off them thoughts is so important, but at the end of the day they're just thoughts. Like the way I like to do it is, it's kind of crazy the way I put this, it sounds stupid and things, but if someone told you to go ahead and eat poo, would you go ahead and eat poo? No. And if someone screamed at you to go ahead and eat poo, you still wouldn't eat poo, because at the end of the day it's just thought. It's just kind of someone telling you to do something, and you don't have to do anything you don't want to do. And it's the exact same for eating disorder. If your eating disorder is telling you not to eat, you ignore that and you eat regardless of what your eating disorder says. You know, you didn't choose to have an eating disorder, but you can choose to go in recovery and you can choose to combat those thoughts. So the second tip is to fight fear with logic. So I usually always recommend people to do their research. That's also like the third tip is educate yourself. So these kind of work hand in hand, because in order to use the logic to combat the fear, you need to actually be educated on, you know, the different things. So educate yourself on things like how dieting doesn't work, how things like, you know, what you see in the media like intermittent fasting and things like that doesn't work, how meal plans aren't really that helpful at the end of the day, because they can cause restriction and even more restriction, and you cannot combat restriction with restriction. And educate yourself on how all in can actually save your life, and how all in is probably the only way to truly fully recover from an eating disorder. And you know, other people will have their own say in that, but personally, from experience and what I've seen by other people, all in recovery seems to be the one that really helps and really does have those really high recovery rates. And all in recovery at the end of the day is just real recovery. It's just, you know, actually doing it. The only reason we call it all in recovery is because the word kind of real recovery has been overused and misused by many people in the community, and it's kind of distorted our view of what real recovery actually is. And you know, that's why the whole term of all in actually came around. The fourth thing, so the third thing is obviously educate yourself. So, you know, watch videos, read podcasts, listen to podcasts, read books, so like Tabitha's book, so on. Watch my videos, things like that. Watch whatever you can to, you know, help you. And, you know, at the end of the day, yes, you may be seeking permission by using those videos, but I feel like in some way we all do that because we're all so scared. You're so scared to do it, and you need that kind of push. You need that kind of reassurance that, you know, you're doing the right thing, because when your brain's telling you that you're doing the wrong thing, you're actually doing the right thing. So, you know, when your brain's telling you not to have that, you know, that butter on your bread or whatever, then, you know, you need to go and have that butter on your bread. Or if your brain wants you to eat the entire cake, you need to eat the entire cake. Even if your ED tells you not to eat the entire cake, you need to eat the entire cake because you're mentally hungry for it. You might be physically hungry for it too. So the end of the day, it's just combating those thoughts, educate yourself as much as possible. Read the Minnesota Starvation Experiment, really highly rate that. Like, for example, the Minnesota Starvation Experiment talks about these guys who were basically starved, and they basically allowed them to go back onto food like a normal person. Again, they didn't have an eating disorder or whatever, but it showed you how the starved body actually began to do things like sentimental hunger, you know, do things like they became obsessed with food and things. They became grouchy and angry. One of them actually became a cook after the experiment because they became so obsessed with food. And when they came out of the starvation period, they ate onwards to like 11,000 calories. So that just goes to show you that that's a normal response to a starved body. That's a normal response to starvation. And they didn't do this for a really long time too. So that goes to show you that the body should not and cannot be starved without a response to the restriction by doing things like feasting. And then that's the fourth one. Allow recovery feasts. Prepare yourself that this is what's going to happen. You will have feasts. They're kind of unavoidable. You will have feasts, which are basically what people call binges, but I prefer to use the word recovery feast or responsive eating because it's basically just a response to restriction, and everyone goes through them. It's normal. Your body finally gets a taste of food and it knows there's food around you, so then it wants to make the most of that food and it's going to eat as much as possible, and that's all right. You need to allow that to happen. It needs to happen. 5, accept that you must learn to become comfortable with being uncomfortable, because it's kind of like a thing when you go swimming and you dip your toe in the water and it's freezing cold and you don't want to dive in, but you know you have to dive in, and you dive into the water and it feels like knives are like falling thinking in your body and you're like, oh my god, this is so cold, and then after 5 minutes or so your body adjusts the temperature. It's the exact same with eating. When you first dive in, it's going to feel overwhelming, it's going to feel stressful, it's going to take over your entire life, but then sooner or later, after a week, 2 weeks in, you start to realize it's starting to feel easier and easier and easier. And then over time, your body adjusts to it completely. And it's kind of normalized again. It's the exact same with recovery. The first time you try something is always going to be the scariest. But the second time you did it, you can say, I've did it again. I've did it before, so I can do it again. And you go on, and you sew on, and you do it, and it's challenge, repeat. And then finally, you're going to be able to get on with your life and live your life. Because it's not forever. It's literally just until we get this sorted. Because, you know, another thing is that people expect them to have this kind of straight path recovery. And it's not the case. There'll be good days, there'll be bad days. There might be little, like, blips and things where you go off track and then you get back on track. Recovery is not a straight path. It's a roller coaster. But you as a person need to make sure that you are trying your absolute hardest. And that's all we can ask for. Do you know what I mean? That you try your best. And that every minute of every day you fight your eating disorder. Because you cannot give in. You can't even give in a little bit. And if you give in a little bit, it will run a mile. It will literally just take over you again and again and again. And restriction will be your worst enemy. Because the more you restrict, the stronger the ED thoughts will get. The less you restrict, the less the ED thoughts will get too. So use that logic and you run with it. You actually, go against that because you can. If you've lived an ED-free life before, you can live another ED-free life. Again. So what I'm trying to say is that you can do this, and all you need to do is you have to recover for you. Recovery can be like, you can use other people as motivations. You can use your family as motivations. You can use your dog as motivation. You can use your friends or, your future as motivation. But at the end of the day, this needs to be for you. And you have to want it, because if you don't want it, you won't do it. One of my favorite quotes at the moment is that if you want it, you'll find a way. If you don't, you'll find an excuse. And that hit me so hard when I heard that quote for the first time. Because I was like, oh my god, that's so true. Because it is. The amount of excuses I made to not commit to recovery, to not do all the recovery, was unreal. Like, I'd be like, oh no, I'll have a binge eating disorder, I'll go to one end to the other, I'll get fat and used it as a bad thing. I'd say all these things that just simply weren't true. It was just to put it off because I didn't want it. And then when I wanted it, I did it. And you can do it too. What you need to do is that you have to start now. Don't wait till tomorrow, don't wait till next week, don't wait until a time that suits you, because the truth is, it will never feel right. It will never feel like the right time to recover. So you have to choose yourself to start it right now. If you're watching this video right now, go ahead and get a snack. Get whatever you fancy. Go ahead and eat a full chocolate bar, or go ahead and bake a cake and eat the entire cake if you want to eat the entire cake. Go ahead and get something right now. Because although it might not seem like a big deal, it is a huge deal to do it now. Because, like, you know what I mean, like, your brain will kind of convince you, be like, no, we'll do it, we won't start right now, we'll wait till tomorrow morning, and then it'll come to tomorrow morning, and then you'll be like, well, I'll wait until lunchtime, and then I'll have a challenging lunch, and then I'll try actual all-in recovery the next day. And if you will see, it will turn to another day, then another week, and another month, and you'll be still stuck in your eating disorder. You have to do it now. And don't just challenge one thing, change your entire day. Because if you're doing these little steps, your brain will be so focused on that little thing that will take over your entire mind. Whereas if you've completely challenged and changed your entire day, your brain won't be able to, you know, focus on one particular thing because everything's different. You're trying new foods, you don't know the amount of calories in the foods because you haven't ate them in a long time, whatever, and your brain will feel overwhelmed. I won't lie to you, it will be very overwhelming, but because you're so nourished, and because you're actually nourishing your body, and because you're actually thinking rationally, because you've actually got food in your system, you will actually be able to combat the thoughts more, and you will realize how good recovery tastes, and how good life tastes. And you will want to do it. And it will give you that motivation spike. I can almost guarantee that will happen. So my tips are all of them there. And to remember that, you know, medical professionals aren't always right. Because at the end of the day, you know your body, you know your hunger, and medical professionals cannot give you a piece of paper and tell you that you need to eat all this food and when it's not a lot. So, like, say they're like, you need to eat only this food on this meal plan, but you're hungry for more. Then that's when I say, stuff that meal plan, eat more. Because you are not that meal plan, do you know what I mean? Like, you're allowed to eat food. You cannot solve restriction with restriction. Because it won't work. No matter how much you try, and, you know, do recovery kind of like this really, really slow way of restricting your body. You will restrict, you will gain weight, because if your body needs to gain weight, it will gain regardless. And then it will get to a point where you're like, oh shit, I've restricted, I've kept my metabolism really slow when I could have been really, you know, starting to work on this and get to a healthy weight. And then you'll be like, oh no, what do I do now? Because I actually want to start recovery again. And you can start recovery all in recovery at a healthy weight. I'm just saying that, you know, you would have saved yourself a lot more time, a lot more stress, because when you get to the healthy weight, your brain will still be hungry, you will still have mental hunger, you will still have extreme hunger, and the only way to solve extreme hunger, mental hunger, and an eating disorder is by eating more food and allowing yourself to eat unrestricted, because it's the only way. And 2 more tips is no exercise. Your body cannot handle exercise regardless of if you're at a healthy weight or not. You cannot recover while still doing exercise. And the next thing is that don't weigh yourself. If you have to get weighed, get blind weighed, but at all costs try to avoid being weighed because it simply just does not help you. You are more than that number and you're worth more than that, and the scales are unreliable to begin with. Especially when you're eating a lot of food and things in recovery. And my 3rd tip is a minimum of 3,000 calories, complete minimum. Highly rate you to eat over that though. So yes, this is the end of this video. thank you so much for watching it. It's lovely to be back and lovely to be talking to you all, even though I can't see you all, but you know, it's lovely to be back. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I'm sorry that I've stumbled so much. But yes, thank you guys for watching this video, and lots of love, and get recovering. Go ahead and get that snack, right?